So we would like to thank Judy Masomni from the Office of Senior Adult Programs for helping us out with these stories today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judy. All right, up next on this edition of the Arlington Weekly News, our interviewer over there in Studio B, Pia Somre. Pia.
Pia.
Thanks, Craig. And my guest today is Vasko. Welcome, Vasko.
Thank you, Pia. Thank you for inviting me here.
I'm so glad you're here. And you are a translator for some former presidents. You're a contract translator. Tell me, how did you
begin? Studio monitor down.
Well,
it's... How do you become a contract translator?
It's pretty easy, the process, because first you call the language services of the State Department, you schedule an appointment, and then they give you a test. And
what kind of test?
Well, it depends. There are several levels of interpreting, and the lowest one is so-called escort interpreting. And what they do, somebody reads you a text in English, and then you have to repeat it in your particular language.
Oh, wow.
And
is there a time limit on it, too?
Yeah, I mean, not really very strict limit, but of course, I mean, they expect you to do it in a reasonable time. So, and after you're done, then they send a cassette with your rendition to a reviewer, somebody who understands the language, and this person and he or she grades your test. And if you do well, then you hear back from the State Department, Language Services, and they inform you. You know, you passed or you didn't pass, and if you didn't pass, you can schedule it again.
So what was it like? So they called you to say you passed, and then walk me through what happened.
Well, in my case, it was a little bit different. I worked for the Voice of America, and I've been working for 17 years actually, and about just 16 years ago, a colleague of mine from the Croatian Language Service told me that the State Department was looking for people to interpret in various languages. And if she asked me if I were interested to call the Language Service office and schedule an appointment.
And you did?
And I did, and I came, and there was really a training session in place. And the training lasted for 5 days in various ways of interpreting, and they were, I mean, it was quite rigorous. And so after 5 days, I say goodbye, okay.
And then they called you to say what?
They called me, the leader of the training, I mean, the person who was in charge, he gave me a call. He said, well, you were chosen among all the participants, and your first assignment will be to interpret for President Clinton.
President Clinton, what did you think? That's like, wow,
that was
get that phone call.
A big assignment.
So were you jumping up and down, calling your friends, calling your family?
Well, not really. I mean, I was trying to, get ready. And
You're so humble, so subtle.
I was really nervous. I mean, it's the first assignment, pretty much, and the first assignment is the biggest one you can pretty much get.
In what language?
That was in Slovenian language. And the occasion was the opening of the Holocaust Museum.
Wow.
In Washington, D.C., which opened in, I believe, in April of 1993. And the White House invited a whole bunch of presidents, prime ministers from Central Europe.
So you've been in the White House, and you've also traveled as part of this job, too, right?
I traveled several times, yes.
So tell me, who have you met? I want to know.
Well, I traveled...
who have you translated
my
for?
My first traveling assignment was for former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright.
Wow.
And that was in 1997 when she traveled to Ljubljana. That was during the talks about NATO enlargement and so on.
And who else have you done it? I see we have less than a minute left. Who else have you translated for?
Well, for President Bush, a couple of times, 3 times actually, and then for former Vice President Gore, and the former Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld. Wow. And then there were some other officials.
So any dirt on them? Are they all just really nice? Do they look like they do in the Wax Museum? That's as far
I
as
have
I've
to say,
gotten.
they were all very nice. I
Wow.
mean, very nice
And
people.
you've sat next to him just like this.
Most of the times,
close.
it depends. Actually, it depends on the assignment.
Well, Vasko, thank you so much. So
You're welcome.
interesting.
You're welcome.
And I want to have you back, and hopefully you'll be the translator for President Obama. That would be great.
I'm hoping. So far, I haven't heard anything.
We'll keep our
but
fingers crossed.
All right.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, back to the desk.
All right. Thanks, Pia. And Vasko, our translator, maybe he'll translate for us
Exactly,
someday.
yes.
We could use a little translation. Anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Yes, don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Arlington Weekly News. That's all one word.
We're there. And we'll be here next week. You'll be there. We'll see you again for another edition of the Arlington Weekly News. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.